Welcome to Adrian Brewster channel. Please like, subscribe, and press the notification button so that I get notified and updated whenever I post a new video. This video is sponsored by Coffee with the Brain. Feel free to hit the inbox for physical classes.
Yeah, nice day. Of course, today is brewing day. I would like to introduce to you the Aeropress. Uh, for quite some time, I've been doing the Aeropress, and I decided to come up with a recipe that would be better. And I've tried this several times with many different origins of coffee, different roasting profiles, and I think this is what you've been looking for. So, for starters, we would like to first know the parts of the Aeropress for the beginners. Uh, we have the first three major parts of the aeropress. We have the aeropress chamber. This one with the rubber, it's called the planche. We also have the filter cap. This one holds the filter, the paper filter. Then the stirrer. We use this when we are applying some turbulence in stirring form. Then we also have the dosing spoon. My paper filters. Of course, today I'm using paper filters because I'm really fan of them, and they really do that filtering of all the oils, giving me that cleaner cup. So I really love it. Then for today, I'm making one serving. I'll be using my glass and also the Aeropress funnel. For this one, it will help us when we are dosing in for not the coffee to spill on the sides. Then, of course, it's brewing. Yeah, so for the Aeropress, we can either use the traditional way or the inverted way. For the traditional way, we are going to see both percolation, or we are pouring over and we are seeing our coffee dripping down, and immersion in the same brew. Then for the inverted one, we shall see immersion way. We are soaking coffee for a certain period of time, and we shall see that in our next video. So today I'm going to mostly talk about the traditional way. This is the ultimate recipe. It unlocks all the flavors in the coffee. You feel? We are going to see two principles combined in one. We are first going to see the percolation. We are pouring over water, and it is passing through the coffee grinds for a certain period of time. We shall also see that we can also soak coffee for a certain period of time and let it brew. So, yeah, for our recipe today, we are going to use 15 grams of coffee on a ratio of 1 to 50. For our recipe today, I'm going to use 15 grams of coffee on a ratio of 1 to 15, meaning in 1 gram of coffee, I'll put 15 ml of water. So if I have 15 grams, it will be 15 times 15. My total amount of water I'm to pour is 225. So it should be noted that for the traditional way, since we're having percolation in the first place, the water is dripping down. So it gives us room to use a bit higher ratios. We have more room. So, and even the less amount of coffee you're using, the less amount of the dose you're using, the more water you can use in this method, or the higher the ratio you can really use in this method, because you're having more room. You're having more room. So 15 grams of coffee. It will be 15 grams of coffee. And today for my coffee, I'm using Colombia Geisha. It's a natural process from Fried Hearts. So since we've decided to do it traditionally, we shall first put into consideration our Aeropress chamber. We put it on a side. Then our filter cup. I always prefer to use two paper filters for more clarity and more cleanliness of the cup. I'll put in my filter papers to double. Then at the same point in time, I need to do the pre-wetting so as to remove the papery test. Make sure you put enough water, because we don't need really the taste of the pepper to play with our aromatics, our flavors of the coffee. So we need to be very good with this. So when we get our Aeropress chamber, for the traditional way, the one we are seeing right now, we first lock, we lock this filter cap on top of the chamber. Then it sits on our server. And I decided to use a temperature of 93 since I'm using a medium coarse grind. So what's really good with the Aeropress that you can use all the grind sizes from fine to coarse. So what you need to understand that the more coarser you go, the a bit higher the temperature you should always use, and the more finer you go, the lower the temperature you should always use. But you should put into consideration the three T's, where we talk about the temperature. So we've talked about it, the relationship between the temperature and the grind size. We also put into consideration the turbulence, which is the we can put it into steering or agitation. So the more you steer, the more the extraction takes place. So slow steering or less steer, less extraction. More steering or more agitation, more extraction. So also the issue of time. The more the time, the more the extraction, and the less the time, the less the extraction. So having my water boiled at 93 temperature, I'll start with pouring 70 ml of water for blooming to take place. So after finishing my 70 ml of water, I'll do a little stir to make sure all my coffee grinds are wet. And since you well know, for blooming, we always let our coffee with the water for a period of 30 to 45 seconds. So I'll give it more time, of course, 45 seconds, because I want to unlock all the flavors in the coffee, and also it will also help me reduce on the acidity in the coffee, because I want to really have a cup with medium acidity. So for the coffee, for our coffee today, we are using Colombia Geisha Nacho from Fried Hearts. Yeah, feel free to reach out. They will roast good coffee. And then after 45 seconds, I'll do the rest of my pour at once. Here we are seeing that percolation is taking place. We are pouring hot water on top of coffee grinds, and it is passing through down our glass. Or at some point, you can use the server. So still, 15 grams of coffee and on a ratio of 1 to 15, meaning my total is 225. So you have to always put your eyes on the scale and make sure that you don't exceed your target. Seconds, right? So if I do more steering, it will increase on the extraction, but this is not really my target. I wouldn't like to increase extraction by steering. So I'm going to increase my extraction with time. So that's why it is really very good to have an Aeropress. You find out that you have a lot of variables to play with. You can play with the steering that are turbulence. You can also play with agitation. You can play with the issue of time. The more time the coffee is with the water, the more the extraction. You can play with the temperature. So this is really a good deal. No, I'm not going to stir it. So let me use my Aeropress plunge, and I press the water out. So when I put this plunge on top, realize that I'm no longer getting the same amount of water down like the water I was getting in the first place. So in this period, in this time, we are seeing that immersion is taking place, because we are no longer getting that pressure from the air up into the chamber. So right now we are totally seeing nothing dropping down. Immersion is taking place. That's why I really love the traditional way. Two principles in one brew really makes it wow. So I'll prefer a slow press at exactly 1 minute and 45 seconds. A slow press. This will help me ensure that I have uniformity in my cup, and also I will do away with the grittiness. You know, when you press so hard, you realize in the cup you also have things that you wouldn't want to have in the cup, because you've been so aggressive. You find you have that grittiness. You have coffee crumbs in the cup. That will be a lesson for another day. So after pressing, so since I'm done with pressing, I'll remove my Aeropress from my glass. Make sure nothing is spilling down. Then I put it on the side. Now it's time to analyze my coffee. Wow, the aromas of the tropical fruits like the mango. I feel a bit of that fragrance of the lemongrass and the rose hips. Let me. I have to really taste this coffee. I think I'm going to find the same flavors of the aromas I found. Interesting. So you find that this Colombia geisha, it's really giving me that juiciness of the mango. Yeah. So for the coffees, you know what to choose for the filtered coffees that grow in a higher altitude. You're good to go. So still, you have wide ranges of variables to talk about, variables to change with the Aeropress. Really, very very friendly. So for the Aeropress, when we are using immersion, that is the inverted. Feel free to check on our next video. Please subscribe and press the notification bell so that whenever we are posting any video, you get notified and watch.